Hello guys, and welcome to this new year. I want to use this opportunity to say a big happy new year to all my fans and supporters. I also want to appreciate you for your support last year, and I also want you to keep supporting me on that. Thank you very much. And in this year, we're going to start off with a simple HTML designs. We are going to learn how to build responsive web pages because I want to introduce that to my YouTube channel. And we are going to use this to actually perfect in learning how to design either portfolio, landing pages, and as well, we are going to also touch some numerous animations. So I want to say a big happy new year once more. And before you proceed, make sure you hit the like button and also the subscribe button. So this is just the sketch file that we are going to be working with. And you could see here we got some couple of sketches and also design and images. So I'm just going to scroll down so that you could see a little walkthrough of what we are going to be doing. So you could see just a very simple sketch, a very simple boilerplate that doesn't actually make any meaningful thing or doesn't actually make meaning because it's kind of just very basic. But we are going to be using this to actually see how we can get ahead how we can get ahead to learning how to design very responsive pages. And as time goes on, we are still going to advance more and more. So this is also a perfect course for anyone that is finding it very difficult to actually learn how to design, because with this course you can actually learn how to design, and frequently I'm going to be releasing some numerous animation or also responsive website projects or courses. So over here is a sample of what we are going to be building, and here also is a GitHub repository. You can just go over to GitHub and click on this username. You can go over to 2021 responsive designs and you can be able to see design 1. So design 1 is exactly what you are doing, and inside there you also find the sketch file. So in the updates I'm going to also add the sketch file. You can actually have it when you download that also, or when you grab it to your local machine. And when we click on this, you could see it's very responsive, and as I'm scrolling down, you could see also we are going to also add something called swiper.js, because over here you can be able to swipe. But why I just left this way is because I want us to use this to learn the basic of designing. If you can notice here, this thing over here looks abnormal, but it does really matters a lot. Also learning how to place things in a different sections of your div or different sections of your browser. And over here, sorry, I just pressed the space tab. Over here, you could see we have a very nice image at the left, and here we have also what we service, and I don't know why I keep pressing that. And as you scroll down, you could see how it does work, and here you could see some little effect of box shadows that we also applied here. And over here, we didn't actually use swiper here, but you could see how these are properly arranged and properly spaced. And over here, you could see the last things we are going to do. And right now, you could see I'm at the bottom. When I click on service, it's going to take me to service. When I click on home, same thing. When I click on how it works and also get started, it also brings me to the last one. So, and this is very responsive. So I'm just going to change that to a mobile screen, so you could see how responsive it is. You could see how everything is properly placed and everything is properly working fine. So this is kind of laggy on PC, but on mobile phone, the mobile devices, it works pretty well. And you could see every other thing here looks very responsive. So you could see all those effects still show, and you could see the images are properly placed into 4 places. And right here also, same thing with the other one and the last one, you could see it is properly arranged. And all those links you saw at the top, for it to come out, you just have to click on this menu. You could see that cool effect, and we can still select the ones we want to go to or scroll to. And also we can click on home. It's going to bring us back up. So this is what we are going to start off, and we are going to know the tricks of learning how to design a responsive website. So if you've been a programmer or a backend developer just like me, and you find it very difficult to design a very responsive website, this is exactly for you. So before you proceed again, do make sure you hit that like button and also the subscribe button. So before you proceed further, make sure you hit that like button and also the subscribe button. So this is just what we are going to be using to actually build this responsive HTML website, and it's just a HTML boilerplate, but I just made some couple of arrangements of everything that we are going to be using. So probably here we are not going to need that mixit filter, but we are going to need a swiper, GitHub, and also our JavaScript file to handle every script event that we actually need. So this is exactly what we are going to be using. So if you want to code along, make sure you grab that from the GitHub Repo. But if you want the full source code, you can also see the link on the description. So one of the secrets of mobile responsive design is to start off with mobile screen sizes first. Then you can extend PC version if you wish. So this is exactly what we are going to do first. We are going to start off with mobile responsive design. So like I said, you don't need to stress yourself because everything is already arranged for you. And I'm going to start off with a link over here, and we are going to give it a class of scroll top with an ID of scroll top. And inside that link, we are going to give it an sorry for that. That should be inside this link. We are going to give it a class of bx and bx chevron of circle. So I'm still going to show you how you can grab all this. Then we can give it a scroll top icon class. Then we can just close that. So this is just like something like click up. When you click on it, it's going to automatically scroll you to up. So we are going to just click on go live so that we can actually run that on our browser over here. So I just have to close that and bring this to the first. So you could see that little chevron over there. And if you want to have all these icons, you can just go down to box icon website. If you notice here, we are using the reference style sheets from on package. So that's what we are using here. And over here, we're also using swiper. But for the swiper, we just had to download the zip file, then extracted it. And that's what you can see here. You could see the swiper bundle CSS, and also we have the swiper bundle JS file over there. So we have also the GSAP. We are going to also show you how to do that. And also we have the main JavaScript file, just like I said before. So coming down here, for you to have access to most of this icon, you just have to go over to boxicons.com, and you can actually search for chevron. And when you search for chevron, you could see there are a lot of icons over here. So when you click on any of these, let's say we clicked on that, we should be able to see, let me just quickly expand that and show you. You could see, we should be able to see exactly what I just wrote down, bx chevron up circle. So that's exactly what we are using. So I just have to bring that by the right side again. So let's proceed, and we are going to speed it up so that we can actually cover this in a short couple of minutes. And we can just quickly use the header and add some classes as well, and also an ID. And inside that header, we can also bring in a nav with a nav class and also a BD container. So this BD container is coming from the CSS class. So over here, you could see we are calculating with the width. We are saying the 100% of the width minus surem, which means that it should not touch the edges of this screen. So forget about this scroll, is because it's actually okay. We've not yet added the class, but time is gonna come when we are gonna do that also. So let's get back to our header, and inside our header nav, we are going to have first the logo part of this. Then beneath that, we are going to have a nav menu with a nav menu class ID as well. And inside that nav menu, we are going to have an ordered list with a nav list. And this one is the nav item. And for the link, it's gonna have a class of nav link with a class of active link because it is the first link. And then we can add an hash over here, and inside that link we can add a home. So let's scroll this to the left a little bit, and we have to just grab this and paste it some couple of times. One, we have the second one, and we have the last one. So the second one over here is going to be service. and basically it's not going to have active link because the active link needs to be on the home first whenever the page opens. And for this one, we just have to change that to service. Then for this one, we have how it works. So we are just doing exactly what we saw on that sketch file, and over here we just put how. And lastly, for this one, we have the footer. So you could say get started. So that's exactly what you're going to be doing, and do not forget to remove the active links from it. So, and when we save, you could see it's kind of refreshed, and you can see the BD container actually is in effect, because if I go ahead and add something in that class, you see it touches the edges, but if I remove that, you'll see it properly stays in the place it has to stay. So let's just go ahead and add the home part of this before we start the styling. And one more thing that we forgot to do is to actually add something here, and that is going to be the nav toggle. Inside there, we have to add the BX menu. So I've already showed you how you can grab that. So whenever you want to add it, you can actually go ahead and grab it and just put it down. And let's go ahead and add this home part of this before we proceed. So guys, it's kind of long. I did the recording and my voice is kind of cracking. Well, just understand, if I could do more, I could do better, but I can't disturb nature and also allow expect it to perform very effectively. But anyways, we are still flowing along, and we just have to add the BD grid. So guys, make sure you hit that like button. So what this actually means is that we are going to have a class of home container, and this BD container is exactly the same thing that we did here for it not to touch the edges of our browser. And this BD grid is just a simple class that has a grid to it. So we are just displaying that to a grid and also adding a grid cap of 1.5 frames. So there is nothing much we are doing there. So when we come over to the CSS, we are going to have more understanding of that. So inside here, we are going to have a div with a home data. So this home data is exactly this left part of the screen. So everything you see here is going to be in the home data, and also we are going to have a home image. And inside this home data, we can add a heading one. Sorry, I need to add a class to that. So I can say home new, and inside there we can say a new way to. And because of these colors over here, and also coupled with the fact that this is on a separate line, on a block line, we have to do it in a way that it's not going to disrupt the text sizes. But all of them is going to be the same, but yet it's going to look similar to something like this. So for us to do that is also very simple. We just have to add a span with a class of home manage. I'm just giving you some clues of how to do that, and we can add a manage to it. And one more thing we can do is to add a span with a class of the color. And here we can just add your. And beneath that, we are going to have a class with a D color as well. Team work. So this is just for us to have that nice color effect. And down there, we are going to have a home description. So this is a home description. And let's scroll up a little bit. So for the text, we just have to come over here and grab this text. So just go ahead and paste that text over inside that. And lastly, we are going to have a button. So we just have to add a class of button danger, because it's going to have something like a reddish color, and we are just going to give it a home button. So we could say adding a hash here, and inside there we could say try Keja for free. So you can see actually we are done with that, and everything from our browser seems to be responding perfectly. So one more thing before we start styling is to add the image part of this, and that will be very simple as well. So you just have to add a div with a class of home image, and inside that we are going to have an image, and this image is going to be accessing the image, or going to be making use of the image that we have called teamwork. And here you can just add an auth of teamwork. So like I said, it's been long I did something like this. My voice is kind of breaking, but anyways, I will still flow along in a short while. So we are done with the first part of this, and you can see over here everything seems to be responding very fine, and we can just go over to the styling and start off with the navigation first of all. So the navigation is the one that has this link. So we could say a height of variable. So here we are going to be using a header height. It's just like 30 rem, and we are going to display everything to be flex and justify all the content to space between. And here we can align the items to center. Let's go ahead and save. You could see the space between divided the logo, the nav links, and also the hamburger menu. So beneath that, we are going to target screens from 768. That means that screens from this iPad downwards is going to be making use of the CSS effects that we want to apply now. The way we can do that is to use a media query with a screen, and we have a maximum width of 768 pixels. And inside there, we can now reference to any class that we want to make use of. So the first one is going to be the nav menu, the one that has the links. We just want it to have a position of fixed, and we can give it a top of header height, and we are going to come to that as well. Let me just get rid of this one for now. We are still going to come back to that, and we can give it a left of 0 and give it a width of 100%, and also a padding top of 1.5 rem. Then we can text align everything to the center, give it a background color of white, and give it a transition of 4 milliseconds. Then lastly, sorry, not lastly, but we have to give it a box shadow of 0, 2 pixels, 4 pixels, RGBA. So this RGBA is red, green, blue, and the alpha you want. So we have 0, 0, 0. And for this one, we just have to give it a 0.1. And lastly, we can give it a border radius of 0, 0, 1 rem, 1 rem. That's top, right, bottom, and left. So you could see over here, it just took that effect because this is the one that has the links. And also we have to target each of the nav items. So for the nav item, it's going to be each of these links. We are going to make sure that it's properly arranged, but that wouldn't be for the screen size as well. It's going to be generally. So we can say the nav item is going to have a margin bottom of MB3. So these are all there for you in the CSS. Then we have also the nav link with a color of default color. So this is one thing I forgot to actually show you, but there is no much big deal on that. So what you're actually seeing here are the colors that I grabbed from every single thing that we are doing here. So this color over here, I think, so this 2E0838 is exactly what you see over here. So likewise, this other color, all these colors you see here, I actually grabbed them and put them as CSS variables, and right now we are making use of them as CSS variables. So there is no much big deal there, and there is no much thing that we can just delay on that. So you could see when we style that, we actually space it out and it looks very nice and very more arranged. Then we can give it a transition of 0.3 milliseconds. So in case we either apply a transition, just make it smoother whenever we click on it or whenever it's loading up. And also, whenever we hover over that link, we want it to have a very nice effect. That would be for bigger screen sizes. So we just want it to have a default color And we also have to target the nav logo. And not only the nav logo, we also want this class to be applied to other set of classes. That means the nav logo and also the nav toggle, which is going to have a color of default color black. So what you see here is that the logo and this nav toggle is just making use of this default color black, except for this one that is going to have a hover effect whenever we hover over it. There's nothing much there, and we can just proceed to style the nav toggle. So we have a font size of 1.3 em, and we just want the cursor to be pointer. So that's exactly what you see here, and we actually done styling this. But you can see it kind of looks awkward whenever we open our application. We just see this menu this way. So we are going to hide that, and the way we can hide that is to give it a top of -100%. So instead of it to have this top over here, we just have to say top -100%, and it's going to hide that. And because that is hidden, we are going to come over here and add a class of show menu and save that. And with that class of show menu, we just have to style that as well. But the only thing it's going to have is exactly that top. So we have top of header height. So that's exactly that header height, and you could see whenever we save, it's going to come out. So what you just have to do is to get rid of this, because we're going to be using the JavaScript to actually handle the event that is going to be adding that class automatically for us. So that's it for that. And now, right now, I kind of explained a lot of things for you, and I think we can just go ahead and speed it up. So for the active menu, we can say, active link, we can just say position of relative. Then also for the active link after, because of that little line that is under each navigation, so that's exactly what we want to do here. Is going to have a content of empty something, and we're going to have a position of absolute. That's why we gave the other one a relative position, because we want also the bottom, we want it to be a little bit down. And let's use rem over here, left of 0, height of 3 pixels, background color, first color, sorry for that. So I think let's kind of use red over here. We are still going to come back to sort that out. So when we come over here and add a class of show menu, this is supposed to be active. The active link is supposed to be showing. Still not showing. Let's go ahead and give it a width to see if that is the issue. So width of 65%. Okay, right now you could see we have that. So we have that showing. So we can use just a default color of default color over there, so that it can actually look more nicer. So let's get rid of this once more. So guys, do not forget to hit that like button and also the subscribe button. And let's go over to the home. So for the home, it's exactly this container that is containing this home data and also the home image. But we want, whenever it's overflowed, let it hide. Then we have the home container. We have to give it a position of relative, give it a height of. So for the height, we are going to use a calculation of the 100 view height minus, if you can recall, we have the header height. So this header height is a variable, and we just have to wrap it. So sorry for that. We just have to wrap it on a variable. So what we are simply doing is not for it to affect our nav menu. Then we can give it a grid template, rows of repeats 2, and also a mask content. Align all the content to space around, and also lastly we can give it a row gap of 2 rem. So it's looking more nicer right now. You could see everything is kind of getting more arranged, And for the home data, let's go ahead and style that immediately. We have a color of default color black. So the variable did enter automatically, but let's just add that. Then we have a padding left of 1.5 frame. Then we have a font size of heading 1 font size. And lastly, we have a Z index. I think, yes, working perfectly. A Z index of, we're going to use the tooltip. So for this Z index, it's just for it not to be hidden whenever this overflows on it, for it to be properly placed. And something seems not to be working right here. I think, okay, let's just go ahead and finish every other thing before we come back to that. Let's go ahead and style the home manage. We have a color of default color black. We have to display it block. So my keyboard. Then we have the font size of heading 1 font size. Then for the home new, we have a display block as well, and a color of default color black with a font size of biggest font size. So we have the home manage and also the home new, and we can just go down here. We have the home new and the home manage. So we're actually using display block because we want it to be on a separate line. So that's exactly what you see me doing there. And let's go ahead and add the font sizes for each of these so that it's going to stay properly. So okay, automatically you could see everything just got arranged by itself without even stressing ourselves. So let's go ahead and add the font size for this home manage. We could say font size is going to be biggest font size, and that should make it look perfect. I think the issue is, I don't know why it's doing like that. Oh, okay, let's go ahead. By the time we finish styling, probably should look more nice, because from the demo we didn't see any issue. We also have a font size of normal font size with a color of default color gray, and we have the margin bottom of MB2. Okay, you could see automatically everything is arranged once again. Just because the text was much bigger, that was why it's kind of affecting it before. But right now you could see everything is working perfectly. And let's go ahead and style the button quickly. So you can see the button automatically adjusts. And for the D color, it's exactly these colors over here. We want each of these, your and also the teamwork, to have that separate color. So we have to reference to the D color and just give it a color of default color. And boom, you can see we have manage your teamwork looking very nice. So we've done more on every other thing except for the image. And let's just quickly touch the image, although we are going to still come back to the button because the button doesn't look really nice for now. So you could see the space for the button at the down there. But for the image, we just have to say the home image is going to have a position of absolute. And not only the home image, we also have the home grid. So the home grid is exactly this line you see over here. So this is something, these lines that looks like a grid line. Some probably may not look like a grid line, whatever, but we just have to style them together. So we have absolute, that's absolute. And also we have a top of 50%. We want it to be placed at the bottom. and also the right of 0%. But with the transform, we can place it wherever we want to place it with the translate properties. We want it to be at the bottom. This one doesn't really, it's not really needful, so let's just leave that for now. And for the image itself, we can just go ahead and hide that because we don't want it to be showing for mobile devices. So you could see every other thing that we are doing now is looking really nice. But let's just go ahead and add this, give this image a height. Sorry, not the image, I mean the grid image as well. Let's just go ahead and give it a width of 350 pixels. Then for the button itself, we just have to target the button class with a display of inline block, and we can give it a color of white, give it a padding of 0.75 rem and also 1 rem. That should be a padding, and this should be a color. Then for the border radius, we also have to give it a 0.25. Let's use the rem unit and also give it a transition of 0.3 seconds because we want everything to be smooth. And you could see right now, everything is looking very nice just for the fact that we've not yet added a class for the button danger. So if you come down here, you could see we have a class of button danger. So that's going to make it to have that colorful effect. So we could say the button danger is going to have a background color of the default color, and then we can give it a color of white. So right now you can see everything is looking pretty fine. For the border radius over here, we are not doing it this way. We just want, yes, 0.25 rem. And for the hover, you can say button danger hover. It's going to have a background color, default color black, and also a color of white, and that should solve it. So we are done with styling the first part of this. That means the home section or the top section over here. So the next part now is to go over to this, our partner, and for our partner, we are going to start that immediately. So I think I forgot to add that here. So we could say we can just say same thing partner. Oh guys, I don't even remember how to spell partner again. Overflow of hidden. So let's just go ahead and add the HTML markup for the partner before we proceed with that. And we can say section dot partner, also an ID of partner. And we can say section dot partner container. And one more thing I forgot to do is to add the BD container and also the BD grid, because those things are very crucial. And for here, we are going to add a heading tree with a partner inside of it. So we could say span, and this span is going to be on its own line. So, but it's gonna have, okay, for now, this one is not gonna have a, we just have, okay, trusted by, okay, we don't, this one is going to be on its own line, which is the heading tree, but trusted by is going to have something like a span between that. So let's just use trusted, and inside there to say trusted by, you can add another span with 100 plus. Oh, what's wrong with my hand? Oh my God, sorry guys for that. Oh, that's very bad. So you can say trusted by, we just have to add a class of underline. And for this one, we just have to trusted by 100 companies. Then we are going to have a div with a grid of 2 with an image. So for this image is going to have access image grid 2.png. Then we have companies. Then we are going to have div.company container. Then we have the swiper. So for this one, it's going to be a swiper container. So I'm going to show you how you can actually use that swiper.js as well. And for each swiper.js you want to use, or each swiper effect you want to use, you have to put it inside a swiper container. Then you have to add it also inside a swiper wrapper. Then we can add a company content with a swiper slide class. So these are just going to be each of the classes that we are going to be, each of the swipes that is going to be in our swiper. So we have swiper slide, and also for each, for each company content, we have swiper slide. So that's just it. Then inside here, we are going to have images. Remember that we have all these images provided from the GitHub repository. Then this one, we also have an image that is going to be access/image/Netflix. Access/image/people. And lastly, we have this image to be access/image. Sorry for CSS. This is image / we have Spotify.png. So when we scroll down, you will see it's kind of looking very awkward, but with the help of our CSS, we are going to make it look very beautiful. So we have everything set there. And let's go ahead and add one more thing before we go over to the CSS, and that should be the services. So that we can speed this tutorial up. So we have the section with an ID of service with a class of service as well. And we have a div of service container. So for the next one, I'm just going to grab and put this down. At least you have seen how we can actually do it. Then we also have a BD grid. Then inside here, we're going to have a div with a class of service image. So this exactly this service you see here, this thing that looks like a 3D image is exactly what we are doing. So we are just going to add this service data ASAP. So we can say div.service data. So one more trick you can use is this way. You could say, yeah, it's going to work. You could say what we service. So you just hit tab and it's going to bring it out. Then we have service help. Then inside that service help, we are going to, I don't know whether it's going to work, but let me just use it this way. We say we help you to manage your team work. Then beneath that span, so let me just scroll up a little bit. Beneath that span, we are going to have a paragraph with a service description. And we can just go over here and grab everything you see here and paste it down. And lastly, we are going to have a link with a button danger. And we have button service. So we have also the home button class applied to it. And let's just put hash there a number sign, then we can add learn more. So that's it. And let's add how it works as well. But the how it works, well, let's just go ahead and add that before we go over fully to the CSS. We could say section.how/how as well. And inside there, we are going to have the how container. Like I said, the next part, I'm just going to copy that. So you can just quickly grab this and you can just replace this with that. And this one, we just have to change it to how. And for this one, change it to how container, and that should solve it. You can just close every other thing. And inside the how container, we are going to have a heading 2 with how does it work. Then beneath that, we are going to have a span.how description. And we can just go ahead and grab how it does work to it. Then after that, you could see these couple of boxes over here. We will just add that immediately. So I just have to paste this, and beneath that, I think, okay, beneath this span, we are not actually getting something right. Okay guys, we're actually getting everything right. It's because I thought that we made a little mistake from our boilerplate, but everything kind of looks very nice. Then we can just go ahead and add how boxes here. We'll be the grid as well. Then inside there, we are going to have how box. So each of these boxes is exactly what you see here. Each of these boxes is exactly what you see here. And then inside those boxes, we are going to have an image from access. The first one is going to be graph. And beneath that, we are going to have a span with a digital analytics. And after that, we are going to have a paragraph. So let's go ahead and grab one of these and put it down. So I'm just going to copy this how box, and we have 3, so we just have to add 1 and 2. And we can just paste this out to look very nice. So spacing it out, spacing it out makes it look very nice. So forgive me for my wrong English. And here we have the activity.png, and for this one, we have the mail.png. So that solves it for the how boxes. And guys, I think I've shown you how to actually use a lot of CSS. We can just go ahead and grab these last tools, then we can just add these ones manually. Sorry guys, I kind of have a change of mind. Since this is a crash course, this is a course that actually should teach you how to design. Let's not do it that way. Let's go ahead with a normal conventional way we've been doing it. And we can just paste that down, cover it up. And for this one, we have tools. Same thing with this one, tools. And here we have the tools container. Then inside of it, we are going to have a heading 2 with integrate with the tools. This is tools you already use. And that should solve that. And beneath that, we have tools boxes. With a BD grid. Then we have the tools box. We're going to have the image, and from there we are going to access the drive. Let's just go ahead and grab this and put one here. Also put one. I think it's 4. One more. And we can just go ahead and save that. So we have the drive. For this one is here the Dropbox. Second one is the drive. The third one is the Slack. And the last one is the Zero. So you could see we've added a lot of HTML markup, and we can just go over to the styling now in order to make it look very nice. So you could see our application is looking nice, but it's not arranged in any way. And let's just go over to the partner and start with the partner as well. So beneath here we have the partner container. So we are going to test align everything to the center, give it a font weight of 800 and give it a position of relative. So you could see when we test align it to center, you could see it's kind of resembling exactly what we could see over here. So let me just show you. You could see it's kind of coming to the center as well. And beneath that, we are going to target the partner container heading 3. So that should be heading 3, not heading 2. We have a color of default color. And also we have a text transform of uppercase, font size of font medium. And you could see that partner is kind of looking very nice. And here we have our partner. I think it's best that we also use our partner because we are doing everything from the sketch file. So over here, I can just put our partner. So if maybe you put a small O over there, you want everything to be capitalized, you can just say text transform of capitalized. And you can see over here it's going to be capitalized even though the text is all lowercase. Apart from that, we also have to style the partner container span, which is going to have a margin top of MB1, a font size of heading 3 font size, and for the partner container itself, that should be over here. We have to add this couple of things. We have to add a padding of, we have MB6, so MB6. Then we have a background of RGBA. Let's just do this ourselves. 251, 251, 251. And we can just add an alpha of 0.9. And you can see we have that silverish background. And one more thing is to add a margin bottom of MB6, and it's looking more arranged right now. And for the underlined text, it's going to be under this 100. We can just draw something that looks like underline, although that is not going to be perfect as it is there. We have a position of relative, a background color of, of transparent. And after that, we have to add a content of nothing, give it a position of absolute, a height of 10 pixels, width of 40 pixels, give it a background color of default color, and also a bottom of -1 pixels. Lastly, we give it a left of 0. So you could see we have at least something that looks similar, even though it's not slanted, just like the other one is, but it's kind of looking very similar. And we can just focus on this grid 2. So for the partner grid 2, you can give it a position of absolute, since the partner container has a position of relative. And we have a bottom of -15%, left of -30%. And we can just go ahead and save it. Then for the image, we have to reduce the image size. So we could say partner grid 2 image. We can give it a width of 220 pixels. Then lastly, let's go ahead and start styling for the company. I also forgot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can say company. And let's go ahead and save that. And this is not kind of taking shape that it should take. For this one is good, but anyways, if you want this to go to the left, I think you just have to think maybe let's increase this. Oh, sorry for that, guys. Let's check again. We have the grid 2. Where is it? So I kind of misspelled this, that's why. So right now you could see the grid 2 is kind of going where it should be. So let's leave it -30, and you can see automatically it stays where it should be. So for the company right now, let's go ahead and style that immediately. So we can say company is going to have a margin top of MB3. So this is supposed to be a margin top. Then we have padding bottom of MB3 as well. Then we have overflow of hidden. Then for the company, we have the company content. We have to display flex. For the company content, okay, when we display flex, there's nothing wrong with it. So let's just go ahead and do that. We have display flex and also align the items to the center. But let's just justify it to the center. So for this one is display. This is flex, not display, sorry. So you can see the images are actually in the center, but why it is not taking effect is because we've not yet implemented Swiper.js. So you can see over here, from this place, we have the swiper container, then we have the swiper wrapper, and each of these have a swiper slide. So using this is supposed to be working by now, but I don't really know. Okay, I know why it's not working now. So no worry, when we go over to the JavaScript part of this, you are going to see how we can do it. So I just kind of record immediately. And lastly, let's go ahead and style the company content images. We can just give them a height of 58 pixels. Then quickly for the service, we can go over to the service container and let's kind of scroll down immediately. So we have the service container. We have a padding top of MB6, position of relative, give it a padding bottom of MB6 as well. Then for the service image, which is that 3D image over here. So let me just go ahead and get rid of that. We have a width of max content. And we have a service data as well. A margin top of MB3. So usually this is margin top, not max resolution. So that should solve it. And we have also the padding left of 1.5 rem units, also padding right. So what you can do is just say padding 0, 1.5 rem, 0, 1.5 rem, and that should also give you that same effect. Then for the service data heading 3, we have a font size of heading 2 font size. We have a color of default color. We also have a text transform of uppercase, font weight of 600, margin bottom of MB1. And you can see everything is kind of looking very nice now. You could see the text taking that default color and also taking the heading 2 font size. And what's remaining right now is the span. So this span over here is what we want to style. So where is it? We want to style the span, then we can style the service description as well. So for the service data span, we have display block font weight of 700, font size of heading 2 font size, and margin bottom of MB1. Also, we have the service description for the paragraph. Give it a color of default color. Sorry, default color gray because it's kind of grayish. And we have a font size of normal font size. And let's go ahead and save. You could see it's looking very nice. And one more thing is the button service. So for the button service, give it a font size of small font size. Then we can close that and give it a color of default color to have that white color. So you could see everything is now arranged on this one. And we can just quickly go over to how it works. So sorry, my voice was kind of going down. So for the how, we are going to give it a padding top, just like the other one, MB6, and also a padding bottom of MB6. Then we have the how container, which is going to text align everything also to the center. Then for the how container heading tree, then we have the heading tree, which is going to have a font size of heading 2 font size, font weight of bold, also text transform of uppercase. And you can see over here everything is looking very nice. That should be heading 3. How container heading 3, and let's check that. And this is heading 2, not heading 3. Okay, you could see automatically the uppercase text effect just applied that. And let's go over to the description. So we're almost done with this tutorial. You can display block, the font size, normal font size, and also a color of default color gray, margin bottom of MB2. Then for the how box, margin top of MB6 as well. And we can give it a padding of 1.5 rem. So we want this padding to take effect on the font sizes. Then give it a margin of the top is going to be 1.2 rem. We also have 1.5 rem. Then we have a border radius of 10 pixels and also a transition of 0.4 seconds. So let's go ahead and save that. You can see for the how box is actually taking effect. You can see the padding applied and also the margin for the every part of it also applied. Sorry for that, guys. And beneath that, we want that little bit of shadow. So you can see that's this little bit of shadow over here whenever we hover over any of them. So you could say hover, how box hover. It's going to have a box shadow of -1 pixels to come out to the right, then 4 pixels RGBA. We have 0.1, which is actually perfect. So when we click on any of these, you could see that small effect coupled with the fact we added a transition that's actually making it look very nice and very smoother. So let's go ahead and style the image. So we can see the how box image. We have a width of 30 pixels and a margin bottom of MB2. And lastly, oh, that's not lastly, let's style the how box span. So we have a display of block. And we have a color of default color black. We have a font size of heading 2 font size, and also a margin bottom of MB2. Lastly, we can give it a font weight of bold, and let's save that. You can see everything is kind of taking shape. And one more thing is to add the how box paragraph. So you can say how box paragraph, which is going to have a color of default color gray, and also a font size of normal font size. So you can see right now we have the perfect thing that we wanted for this how box. Then the next thing remaining is the tools. So we can just quickly go over and style the tools. So we can say the tools heading 2 is going to have a font size of heading 2 font size with a color of default color black, a font weight of 700, and also a text align of center. So over here you can see integrate with the tools you already use is also taking shapes. And for the two boxes which contains the images, we have a grid template columns of repeat 2. For each of them should be repeated 2, and we have a margin top of MB4. Then we have a grid, sorry for that, MB4. We have a grid gap of 5 frame, and you see automatically it spaces it out and everything is properly arranged. So I think we, what about the other images? We have the other images are not necessarily showing now. Why? One thing I forgot to do here is to add the heading 3 of this. So we have the Dropbox, we have the Google Drive, here we have the Slack, and lastly we have the Zero. So the two box, the images are not showing. Maybe it's because of this mobile. So let me kind of make this 50%. You could see it's actually showing. Okay, it's showing very fine. And for the two boxes, we've already done that. Then for each of those boxes, so we can say the tools box. For each of these tools box, we just have to give it a padding of 0.5 m, display everything to be flex, and give it a flex direction of coulomb, because I want everything to be aligned to the center, and you can also justify everything to the center. Okay, looking nice. Then for the image itself, we could say those tools box image, can give it a margin bottom of MB3. Then we have the tools box heading 3 itself, the text, you can give it a color of default color gray, and lastly we can give it a font size of normal font size so that it can get smaller and also fit properly. So you can see the tools box is looking very nice. And one more thing right now, sorry, not one more thing, we all have the words, and also we have the footer. So for the scroll top, we've already added that. Okay, we've not yet added the CSS, but it's not going to take any of our time. And for the words, and let's go over to that. So seems like I will just do that quickly. So sorry for that, guys. And for this one, we have to change it to what? We have the words, and here we have the words as well. Then we have the words image, which is going to have an access of image / plan. And here we have the words data. Then for here we have the words makes Keja different. This is supposed to be heading 2. Then beneath that we have a paragraph, and let's just go ahead and grab the text and add that. So we're almost done with the tutorial. So guys, don't forget to hit that like button and also the subscribe button. So we are done with the words, and one more thing we have to do is to also add the footer. So for the footer part of this is going to be footer, and we can just grab this as well, or just paste that down. Go ahead and cover that, but change this to footer so that when we close this, it's going to make use of footer. And here we can add a footer with a class of footer. And one more thing is to add here to be footer as well. So inside there we just have a heading 2 with let me just grab the text. So we just have to paste the text over here. And lastly, we also have to grab one more text over here. So we have a paragraph with that text as well. And lastly, we have to add a button with a class of footer button. Then we can, okay, let's just do it that way first. Then we can add learn more. So we are done with the HTML markup, and lastly, let's go over to the CSS immediately so that we can finish it up first. So for the words container, so let me just bring this up out. It's not showing. Let me just keep it that way and reduce this a little bit. So it's more better this way. So for the words container, we have a padding top of MB6, or say padding bottom of MB6. So we can save that, and then we have the words image, width of 300 pixels and a margin of auto. Then for the words data, and we have to target the heading 2 first. Let's scroll down. We have a font size of heading 2 font size, color of default color black, text transform of capitalize, and a margin bottom of MB2. And you can see automatically everything is kind of making sense. Then we have the words data paragraph, the font size of normal font size and a color of default color gray. Then lastly, we can just go over and style the footer. So we could say the footer is going to have a background color of default color. Then we can give it a color of default color. Any other text should be white with a font weight of 700. Text align everything to the center because we want everything to be in the center. Then we have the footer container itself, a paragraph. We just have to give it a text align to center. And lastly, we can give it a color of default color. Then for the footer button, we can just give it a footer button of background color is going to be the default color, a color of default color. So this is color, not column rule. Then we have a margin bottom of MB4, padding of 20 pixels, 60 pixels. Then we have a border radius of 10 pixels, a text align of center, and a width of 70%. We also have a margin of this margin. I want everything to be in the center except for the bottom part of it. So we can give it auto. So let me just scroll down. We have auto. Sorry, I've not yet added that margin. Auto MB6. Then we have lastly auto. So let's save that. You could see we have that pad margin at the bottom here. And for the padding itself, we can add a padding top of MB6, and that should look nice. So you could see we are actually done with the mobile first responsive design. So one more thing that is remaining is this scroll button. So to do that is very simple because it does have a class of scroll top. So over here you could see we added a class of scroll top. Let's just go ahead and style that immediately. So here we are going to have a scroll top with a position of fixed, right of 1 rem, so that it will not be at the edge, and also a bottom of, let's use 1.5 rem for now. So you can see this little chevron icon by the right. We have to display it flex. I want it to be aligned perfectly to the center. Then we can justify also the item to the center. Then I can give it a padding of 0.5 rem. Give it a background color, sorry for that. Background color of default color, and a border radius of 0.5 rem. Give it a Z index of, the maximum Z index there is Z2 tip, and then we have a transition of 400 milliseconds. And that's looking like that, but it seems not to be properly nice. So let's go ahead and make it more nicer. So we could say the scroll top first. Let's target the hover events, give it a color of default color, black. Then we have the scroll top icon. So the icon, the chevron icon there, remember that we added a scroll top icon class here. You can just give it a font size of 2 rem units, give it a color of default color, which is probably white color. So you can see it's looking very nice now. And one more last thing is to hide it. So the way we can hide it is very simple. We want to comment this out, give it a bottom of -100%. But if we want it to show, we just have to add a class of show scroll. So we can just say show scroll with a bottom of 1.5 rem. And that should solve it. Removing this from the screen size, sorry, from the last screen. And if we add this class over here, so let's say I added show scroll. So you can see it's added over there to show. And whenever we remove it, it will also remove. And one more thing is, we wanted that whenever we scroll, our header should actually have something like a box shadow. So we have to just add a class, create a class automatically. Let's say, let me just give it add box shadow. So adding that box shadow is very simple. We can just add a class of scroll header with a background color of default color, and we can give it a box shadow of 0, 2 pixels, 4 pixels with RGBA of 0.1. So if we add a scroll header over here, so let's say we added a scroll header here. So you see that little effect of box shadow, but we want this to be done only with JavaScript. So we are done with every other thing except for the JavaScript part. Before we proceed over to the JavaScript part of this tutorial, we need to make sure that we handle the responsiveness of each device screen. So if you see here, we have ranges from 540 pixels, 768 pixels, and also we do have 124 pixels. But first of all, we are going to focus on these 540 pixels because from this screen downwards is already responsive, but we want to focus from this screen upwards. So what we have to do simply is to come down here. So we can just say media screen, and we just have to specify the minimum width of the screen size that we want to target and above. Then inside of it, we can now put our CSS classes. So the first one is going to be the home grid. The home grid is going to have a top of -10%, a right of -40%. Then we have to transform with a translate of 10% and 0%. So we can just quickly fix this up and format that properly. And automatically it's going to be arranged by itself without us even stressing ourselves. Then for the partner and also the grid 2 of that partner, so you could see the CSS class that is being recommended for us. We can just select the bottom to be -15% and the left of -20%. So that's it for the screen. So when we go down here, what we actually fixed the grid 2 is exactly this. So let's say I kind of comment this out. You see how it is, but when I undo and save, you see how it is. So automatically it's going to take the effect. You don't even need to stress yourself. Then we have to also add one more thing. That's the what image, this image over here, because we have to give it a width of 520 pixels. So quickly down here, what you just have to do is to target the class of the what image. Then you specify the image, give it a width of 520 pixels. Then the next screen size, let me kind of increase this font size a little bit. So this is supposed to be 24, forgot. So this looks more better. Then the next screen size is going to be 768 pixels. So let's just quickly do that. Screen and minimum width of 768 pixels. We have a body of margin 0. We're just removing all unnecessary margin. So we just have to select from here, click on iPad. So this is exactly the screen that we are working on right now. And we just have to target the nav. So the nav is going to have the same nav height, just that we are going to add 1 rem to it. So what we just have to do is to use the header height. Then over here, you can just add 1 rem unit to it, and you can go ahead and save that. Then for the nav list, we have to rearrange everything. We have to display everything to flex. Then for the nav item, give it a margin left of MB4. So let's kind of save. So definitely our link is supposed to be at this top. Sometimes I don't know why it insists on not showing. So let me kind of use 66 or 69 over here. So it still didn't show, but that should probably work on this screen. So you could see from this screen here, we already have the nav links to display, the nav list to display flex. So each of those links in the nav list is actually displaying flex over here. So taking this back to where it was, that looks awkward. So let me just quickly get that to be arranged. So it's better this way. Then what we can do next is to add a margin bottom of 0. Then we have a nav toggle. We don't need a nav toggle in this scenario. So once I display none, this nav links should go to the right. So you see, once I displayed it none, these links over here just quickly went to the right. So that's exactly what I was talking about. Let me kind of reduce this to 50%. I think this is better. Then we have to focus on each link. Then each link is going to have a color of okay, let's just leave the link the way it is because the color is already okay. Then the next one we have to work on now is the home container, which is going to have a height of 100 view height, a grid template columns of mass content and 0.5 fragments. Then for the home grid, is going to have a top of 5% and give it a right of -20%. Then we can transform that property to translate -10%, and here we have 0% as well. So let's go ahead and save that. So it seems like nothing is happening, but don't worry, you will get to see everything perfectly arranged. So I'm just showing you an example of how you can actually make things look more responsive on each screen devices. Then the next one is the how we have the home grid. Okay, let's target the partner before we go over to the home grid. So we can target the grid 2. So remember, from here we give it a left of 15% and a left of 20% and a bottom of 15%, but over here we are just going to give it a left of -10%, and that should be it. Then we have .what image. We just have to increase the image size of this image over here. So let's just go ahead and do that. We could say the width is 700 pixels, and we can just go ahead and save. And we also have the how boxes. Give it a grid template columns of repeats 2, 1 fragment for each. So it's going to repeat these how boxes to be 2. So don't worry, everything is going to be properly arranged. So if you notice now, we kind of touched the how image, but it's not showing. So what we can simply do is come at the top here. We can just the home image, not the how image, and we can set the opacity to 1 because previously we did set the opacity to 0. So right now you could see it's properly showing. And at the bottom here, we want it to be taking the whole maximum width. So we don't only want this image, we want this image, the words image as well. And lastly, the service image. Then we can give it a width of mass content so that everything is going to be properly placed. And this one seems to be not properly arranged, but don't worry, we are still going to fix that. And for us to fix that, we now have to target this 124 0 pixel screen. So quickly we can just grab these lines and we can just come down here quickly and paste that and change this to 1024 pixels. So inside here we can just give it a home target the home container, give it a padding top of 2.5 m. Then we have the home data, a padding top of 1.5 m, a color of default color black. So do not forget to add this inside the CSS var, and that should solve it. Then we also have the padding left to be on set because we don't want this to be very far from the edge of the screen, because right now we are on the bigger screen size. And one more thing is to add a z index. So this z index, we have a variable of z to tip, and let's just quickly round it up. So I have the home data heading 1, the home data span as well. I want to increase the font size or decrease it to 3.2 rem units. Then for the home image, the big teamwork image over there, we have to properly align everything. We can give it a position of absolute, give it a top of 50%. The right is going to be 0%. Then we can use transform to place it wherever we want to place it. So on the left side is going to be 0%, but on the y-axis is going to be minus 59%. Then we have the background color of default color. Give it a border radius, because from the sketch file we do have a border radius of 30 pixels, something like that. Then we can give it a width of 420 pixels, a height of 350 pixels. Then if the image happens to overflow, we hide it. Then we give it a box shadow. So this box shadow is very necessary, because if we check here, you could see we have a couple of box shadows around it. So let's just go ahead and add that. So we have -2 pixels, -2 pixels, 4 pixels, 4 pixels, RGBA. We use the normal conventional one. Then we want it to be at the top as well. So we use Z2 tip, and that should be it for that. Then for the image, we want the image to fit the how image, home image container. So we can just say the image is fits content. So that should be it. And let's go ahead and save. You could see it's properly placing it. And for the home grid itself, we have to give it a top of -22%, a right of -35%, and then for the home grid image, so I usually say this is how grid, this is home grid image, then we give it a width of 700 pixels. Then for the service container, I think this service container over here, let's just go ahead and quickly style that. Service container, we want it to have a grid template columns of repeat 2, because we want the image to be on the left and the service data to be on the right. So this should solve it when we save. Actually nothing happened. Yes, okay, it was just saving. So you could see everything is properly getting arranged. So if you don't like the way this one is, you can actually translate it up. I've shown you how you can actually do that by using the translate of X and Y axis to do it. But don't worry, everything is still going to look perfect. But in case you want to maybe manipulate it, you can just go ahead and do that. So we have a grid gap of 2M. Then for the service image itself, so let me scroll down to that service image. So for this image, we want it to have a box shadow. So let me kind of grab the same box shadow that we used over here, because they kind of look similar. So when we paste that, we can check our sketch file. So you see we have that box shadow. Then in our sketch file over here, you can see we have also some couple of box shadow. So like I said, this is not a more advanced responsive website, but don't worry, frequently we are going to be doing that. Then we have a display of flex as well, a flex direction of column, and we have to justify the content to the center. And this is for the how it does work. So what we are actually working with is all these boxes here. We want them to be displayed in a flex direction of column, and it should definitely, let's kind of quickly check that. So we have how. So for this one, Okay, we just targeted the section, so we are here to target the how boxes right now. So beneath here, we could say the how boxes is going to have a padding left of MB6, padding right of MB6 as well, padding top of MB6. Then we have the grid template columns of repeat 3 for each fragment. We have a cursor or pointer, a margin of auto. Then for this one, we have the how box. For each of those box, we just want them to have a width of 250 pixels and also a height of 300 pixels. So let me kind of expand this so that you can see what we are doing. Get off this one. So you could see this how boxes is properly taking shape. And I think I didn't arrange this properly. I suspected that because when we wrote the HTML, this div was supposed to be here, by the way. That was how I did it on the boilerplate. So seems not to be working fine, but don't worry, we are still going to fix that. We are going to find a way we can fix that by ourselves. So that was a mistake on my side, but at least you could see the how boxes taking shape. The next one now is this integrate. We can just that's the tools. So we can say the tools boxes is going to have a padding top of MB3, grid template columns of repeat for one fragment, a grid gap of 10M, and also a cursor or pointer. So you could see the images just stayed in a very nice shape, and because of the grid gaps, it's spaced properly. So the next one is this, I think, words container. And let's quickly do that. So for the words container, we also give it grid template columns of repeating 2 for each fragment. Then we have to align the items to the center and give it a grid gap of 2M. And you see automatically the grid gap, the item applies in a grid with a grid gap of 2M. And next one is the word data. So for the word data, we have a text align of left, a display of flex, and also a flex direction of column. Then we have to align the items to flex start and justify the content to flex start as well. So that's it for the CSS. Everything is looking properly fine, except for the fact that this how it does work is showing in a wrong way. So the way we can fix that, what we actually see there, it means that this how container is displaying a flex. So let's just target the how container. So this how container over here. Let's check again. From here we have how container. Here we have how. So it's pretty simple. What we can do is let's grab this. Okay, let's do it this way. We can just simply say at extend. I don't know whether it's going to work, but okay, it's not working over here because, oh, sorry guys, we are not using SSAS. It's now I remember. We can just simply say display flex, give it a flex direction of column, and let's save and see what we are going to have. And that's it. And for the how boxes, the margin top or the padding top is a little bit high. So let's kind of get rid of this one, and that brings it up. So at least it looks more neater than the way it was before, and everything is properly arranged. So if we check in our sketch file, you could see that everything is looking the same. So for this one, we are not using exactly the same color. So that will be your own challenge. You just have to add that to make sure that this one is going to have the same color. I think we are using a default silver color, one of these colors over here, and default color gray is exactly what you're using there, but we didn't apply it, and that will be your challenge. So we are done with the CSS part of this tutorial, and next we have to go over to using all the JavaScript to actually make this animate perfectly. So the first thing we have to do is to go back to that mobile responsive design, because we are done with everything that has to do with our responsive design for the big screen as well. So let's quickly go over to the JavaScript file. So in this JavaScript file, you can see everything. There's nothing here actually, and everything is looking perfectly. Let's switch back to the mobile screen, and let's switch back to the screen size first. So minimize that and split it into two. Reduce this, and also we have to reduce this and grab it to go to one side. So let me just reduce this a little bit. So guys, don't forget to hit that like button and also the subscribe button. And quickly, we have to work on the show menu, which is going to accept the toggle ID and also the nav ID. Then we can say the toggle is equal to document.getElement by ID. We select the toggle ID. We can also add one more thing like a nav. We could say document.getElement by ID, nav ID. So we have to check whether these elements or class do was selected. Then we can say toggle.add event listener. That's whenever we click on a toggle, we want to run a callback with a, then we can just select the nav, this nav menu over here. So let me close the CSS file. So we have this nav menu over here, this nav selector. We can just say .toggle show menu. So remember that when we added that show menu was able to show. So the way we can do that is to call this function called show menu. We can now add the nav toggle and also the nav menu. So that should solve it. When we refresh and click on this, we should be able to see that it's pretty not showing why. So we have the nav toggle here. When we click on this toggle, this is supposed to be nav menu. I kind of think that we made a little bit of mistake here. This is supposed to be an ID of nav toggle. Then for this one, this is supposed to be an ID of nav menu. So guys, just go ahead and fix that so we can say ID of nav menu. And that should solve it. And let's save and try again. And you can see it's showing properly now. So in case you type the same CSS like I did, just go ahead and fix that. I think the main issue was that I started off with a class, then applied an ID, which was wrong. I think the best part is to start with an ID, then you add a class so that it will be properly arranged using emmet. So what I meant is that you could say div sam.sam. So you see it will now add the ID and also the class of Sam, but what I did was div.sam/sam. Probably should work, maybe, I don't know why. So we are done fixing that one, and the next one now is whenever we click on this menu, we want to be able to remove this nav menu from the screen. And that is active and remove, and also we have to add an active. This active link to this, the active link class to the next menu. So the way we can do that is to get our nav link. So we can just grab our nav link immediately. Document.query selector all .nav link. Then here we could say nav link dot for each of them. For each of those nav, we can say nav dot class list dot remove active link. So I think so sorry guys, we are supposed to put this inside the function. So let me just quickly create a function of link action. So this is supposed to be inside this function. And this, I don't know why I went too far. That was a mistake on my side. So let's add this. Then we can say this dot class list dot add active link. And one more thing is to remove the menu from our screen. So if we want to remove the menu, we just have to say the nav menu dot document dot get elements by ID. We have the nav menu. Then we can say the nav menu dot class list dot remove. Then we have to remove the class of show menu. Remember that when we click on this, it's going to add this class of show menu. So what we are doing here is to remove that class so that it disappears. And for us to make use of it now, whenever we click on any add link, we now have to make use of this nav link over here. So let's quickly say nav link dot, sorry guys, dot for each nav link, we could say n.add event listener of click. Then we can add a link action. So that should solve it. And when we click on this and click on any of this link, you see it gets rid of it and also adds that class to that nav link. So that's why we're using this over here, because let's say if we pass this as a parameter here, then we have to make sure that we pass something that is going to target exactly that element that we are targeting with that class. Then the next one is whenever we scroll, we want the background of this to change. Remember that we added a something like a class of scroll header. So simply we just have to create a function called scroll header. Then inside here we have a header class. Now this header is going to grab not the header class, the header element. We have to grab that. So we can say document.get header. Then we could say if this does scroll y is greater than or equals to 200 pixels, then we just have to say header.classList.add. We can add the scroll header. Else we can just say header.classList.remove scroll header, and that should solve it. And when we scroll it, okay, one more thing we've not yet done is to use the window dot add event listener of scroll. Then we can pass the scroll header function. So let's give it a try. You could see that box shadow automatically shows. So that's it. And we are scrolling. Whenever we scroll, you see the box shadow shows. Whenever it's let's say beneath 200 pixels, it stays the way it is. Now, in the other part, we added a swiper to this one. So the swiper happened to be from trusted. So let's just say trusted companies. So over here, you could see we have the swiper container, swiper wrapper. Then each of these have a swiper slide. So the way we can get to know about that is to use swiperjs.com. So quickly go over to swiperjs.com. If you have the boilerplate, you don't need to worry yourself, because I added all the references for the JavaScript and also for the CSS. So you click on get started. So I don't know why my internet is kind of delaying. Let me kind of switch up my Bluetooth. And I think that should work perfectly now. So it's kind of delaying. Okay. So one of them is loading. For some reason, I don't know why my internet is kind of delaying. And I think just click on get started. When you click on get started, you're going to see something similar to swiper container with swiper slide and also swiper wrapper. So let's just go ahead and add the JavaScript part of this before we come back to that. So we can just create a my swiper, which is going to initialize the function called swiper. Then we have to select the swiper container. Then over here is where we pass multiple configurations that we want to pass. So we can say the space between each of these is going to be 16 pixels. Then we can add a grab cursor of true. Then we want it to loop so that it doesn't have an end. But if you want it to have an end, you can just set this to false. It depends on your choice. Then we want a slides per view to be true, and also auto slide to be true, so that it will be sliding by itself automatically. So let's check. And I think the problem is from my internet saying okay, sorry guys, this is supposed to be swiper, not my swiper. So let's refresh. And so right now you could see the swiper is taking effect perfectly. And whenever we refresh, you could see that. So the incident was from, I think, my internet. So I had to switch to another internet service provider. And right now you could see the swiper get started page has loaded. So you just had to add this at the top and also add this at the body. Then you should initialize the function. Then there are some couple configurations if you wish. So like I was saying, you're going to find the swiper container, and inside that you have the swiper wrapper, and you have each of the slide with swiper slide. So that's how it is done. If you want to have additional CSS, it's your choice over here. You can just add it, but we are not going to touch that. So there are still more a couple of configurations we want to do. You can add breakpoint configurations, like you want it to be like 3. So you can say let's say breakpoints. So these breakpoints, we have 320 pixels if it's lesser than 320 pixels, or whenever it's greater than 320 pixels, or it's exactly 320 pixels. Then you can say slice per view is 2. Then you can just give it an auto space of 20, and make sure you put this to be correct. So when we save, you could see we have double. So this is like a maximum width, not actually a minimum width. I was thinking maybe it's whenever it's over, but nevertheless, you see it's working perfectly. When we swipe, we get 2. If you want this to be 1, you can just set that to 1. You can see we have 1 showing. So that looks really nice. And if you want it to loop, you can set this to true, so that it continues to loop without stopping or without a delay. So that's it. So whenever we scroll like this, we want the show scroll top to come out. We just have to add that class. So let's just quickly add that function called scroll top. And for the scroll top, we just have to use the document.get element by ID of scroll top. Then we could say if this just scroll y, just like we did on the other one, is greater than or equals to 560. Then we could say the scroll top dot class list I think we are not getting something right. This is supposed to be camel case. Yes, so we can say the class list dot add. We can add show scroll. Else we can say the scroll top dot class list dot remove show scroll. So that's how we can do that. And for us to use it, do not forget to add a window dot add event events listener of scroll. Then we can add a scroll top to it. So that's how we can do it. So whenever we save and let's say we scroll above 560 pixels, you see that shows. When we click on it, it should actually take us to the top, except that I didn't add the proper hash. But nevertheless, you could see it's working perfectly. So more frequently, we are going to go into advanced animation. So don't worry if everything didn't work perfectly for you. You don't have to worry. But with the aim of this course is to make sure you understand the principles of responsive design, and that is what we've exactly done. So if you notice here, we added a GSAP JavaScript file. So we just want to add maybe 1 or 2 animations to this. So let's just focus on maybe just 1 or 2 things without delay. Then we can end the tutorial. We could say the GSAP.from. So whenever you're working with GSAP, you have to make selections of the classes you want to use. So we have the home image, and you can put comma and put as many classes you want. We also have the tools box, and we have the what image as well. And that's it. And inside there, we could say, give it an opacity. So this opacity is, means that it's going to be coming from 0 opacity to 1, and it's going to take a duration of 2 seconds, but the delay, something like an animation, is 0.500 milliseconds. So let's save and let's kind of refresh. Nothing seems to be showing, but you see here we have this what image showing smoothly. And let's add for the home grid as well. So we're almost done. So these are just basically all the containers that we have. I think one thing we didn't add is the home container. So let's just go ahead and add the home container. So for that, we just have to like grab everything here and just paste that down and save it. You see, whenever we refresh, it should quietly show. You see that smooth fading in effect. So that's it for this tutorial. So there are still some other things that we can add to it. Let me just go ahead and grab them and put it down immediately. And right now, let's just go ahead and refresh. So let me kind of zoom this out and make this 100%, and let's refresh again. You could see that smooth fading in effect coming from the bottom to the top, and that's how each of these does. So you could see everything is smooth. And there are more to it in next part of our series, or in a frequent series that we are going to be dropping. We are going to go into deep animations and also how we can use all those things. So you could see we have a very nice, cool design and effect. So thank you guys for watching, and please do make sure you hit the like button and also the subscribe button. And I want to really appreciate you once again for subscribing to my channel and also for your support last year. Guys, I'm pretty excited because I didn't expect what I saw last year. So that's a big motivation for me this year, and I promise to keep it up. I promise to bring in more new technologies, and frequently we are going to be doing some cool animations as well. And in the future, we are also going to extend to Flutter, AI, and many other things. So I will also appreciate your support. If you are willing to support my channel, I'm going to keep the email of my PayPal on the description. So just go ahead and give me a support 1 or 2 bucks is enough. So thank you once more, and make sure you hit that like button, and see you next time. Bye bye.